See who pops on here. What's up? What's up? What's going on? Welcome popping in here. Thanks so much for you guys hopping in here. We'll wait till we got a couple more people, and we'll go ahead and get started. Let me just get a couple things. What I want you guys to do is start to get your questions ready, so that you can type them in here, and then we can get right into it, man. Because I want to make sure that we try to address all the questions that you guys may or may not have. This opportunity. I just came back from San Antonio, and there was a real estate mastermind there, man. And I am fired up, man. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of gems that were dropped during that time frame there. I was there for like 3 days. Actually, I was there for 4 days, but man, so many good things. So what I want you guys to do is go ahead and throw your questions in here. Let me go ahead and let's see. Real estate. Oops. Q&A. What's up? All right. What question do you ask the seller exactly to know if they are motivated? Okay, good question. So it's not just one thing that I ask. I like the name too, Wu-Tang, forever. So it's not just one thing that we ask them. It's not just one magic question. It's normally a couple of different questions. And so it'll start off with, I think you keep, for whatever reason, I think you keep posting the same question. It's the same three of them here. But it's a series of questions, right? So we'll start off with some easy things, right? Just to, get a feel for them. And I don't typically like to jump right to the hard questions right off the top. Like, why do you want to sell? But we'll get some information about the house. We'll kind of warm them up. And I don't know what is happening here. Why does this thing keep repeating itself? And we'll typically warm them up, and we'll start asking some basic questions. Then I'll say something like this. I'll say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, man, I'm really interested in, I really love the house so far. I'm really interested in purchasing. Let me ask you a quick question. What's making you want to let something like this go? Or why are you interested in selling it? And they'll tell you, oh, it's because I need to get, X amount of dollars for something. What is happening? Can't post messages. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted here because this message just keeps repeating itself over and over again, and I don't know why. I don't know what's happening here. Let me hide this. Maybe that'll stop it. And so I'll ask them, hey, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what's the reason for selling the property? And they'll give me whatever that reason is. Now, I want you to pay attention to this, because typically whatever their first answer is, whatever their first response is, typically that is a BS response. It's not the real thing. So typically it's like I've heard things where they'll say, hey, I'm just getting close to retirement, and I don't want to deal with it anymore, right? So I'm getting close to retirement. I don't want to deal with it anymore. Now, I want you to think about that, because a lot of times what's happening when you get older and you get up in age, what's one of the main things that you're thinking about? You don't want to have to go to work. You don't want to have to keep dealing with things. You want passive income, right? You want stuff that's just coming in automatically, okay? So if that's the case and you have an asset, okay, why would you get rid of that asset that could pay you over and over again, okay? So when someone says that, you have to kind of dig a little bit deeper to find out exactly why are they selling it. So we could do this all day. It doesn't even have to be they're selling it because they're getting up in age. It could be like, hey, I'm getting rid of it because my son's going to college, right? I'm getting rid of it because I'm moving to Colorado, right? Whatever their initial answer is, typically it's not that reason, all right? There's a reason behind the reason on why that is happening. There's a reason behind the reason on why that's happening. So in the case of someone moving to Colorado, if you got a property that's making you money, then why would you ever want to sell that, right? You move to Colorado, make the money that you're making here in Georgia or wherever you live at, and you keep it pushing, okay? So what I'll do is I always ask him that follow-up question. And I don't know what is happening in these chats. Like, it's literally repeating my message. I have no clue why. Let me see. I don't know what's happening right now. Because I don't think anybody else can even put a question here. Somebody else type a question in here for me real quick. It's like, I don't know why it's doing this. It's repeating my post over and over again. But if someone can please do me a favor and try to throw a question in here. This is weird. So reason behind the reason, I like that. Yeah. So when you do that, when you get to that second or even third level of their reasoning, that's when you really start to find out their real motivation. You have two things are going to happen. They're going to say, man, I don't really need to sell it. I just, would entertain an offer. Or they'll actually give you, what's going on, Antoine? They'll actually give you their reason. Hey, I'm moving to Colorado. I got this new job over there. I'm going to have 2 mortgages, and I just can't really, I can't really afford both mortgages. Okay, that's the reason. That's some motivation there. Okay, so their specific motivation in that particular case that I just gave you, that particular motivation is that they can't afford both properties. Not that they don't want it. They're saying that they can't afford it. It's not repeating on our end. It looks fine. Okay, thank you, Agatha. On my end, literally, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different times that it just is repeating. I don't know what's going on. It's distracted me. I wish you would stop. So Stacy, yeah. So a lot of people have experienced that. So you need to go find the reason behind the reason. You need to dig a little bit deeper. And typically that second or third level of motivation is where you'll find the real pain points. So hopefully that helped out with your question. If you guys have questions, this is the time for it. If you have questions about deals that you're working on, if you have questions on how to answer or reply to people, we had a call today. I'll give you an example. A call today from a house that my acquisitions guy and partner in business took a look at on yesterday. We got a contract sent out to her. And that contract, she saw it, she was okay with it, and then she looked at it further on that night and called him and was kind of upset, right? After we had a good meeting, or they had a good meeting, and she was kind of upset for a couple of reasons. On my contract, it says option to purchase real estate, okay, agreement. So it's very clear it's an option. And also she was a little upset about the earnest money and the 45-day close. So this particular property, we had earnest money of $100, 15-day inspection period, and 45 days to close. Okay. So at first glance, she was okay with it. She went back. I guess she maybe double checked and looked at it, and I guess she became upset with it and didn't like it. She called my partner this morning, and he, just said, hey, well, let's get on the phone with Tommy. Let's see what we can do. So by the time this is now 2:00, we get on the phone, and she's calmed down at this point, which is a good point, a good thing to think about. If you have someone, especially if you have partners, use each other, right? Use each other as a buffer, okay? So that's exactly what he did. It was very smart. He didn't try to tackle it right then and there while she was hot, while she was upset. What he did is he tackled it and said, listen, you know what? We might be able to work this thing out. Let me talk with my partner, Tommy, and let's get back to you. When's a good time today? And she said anytime after lunch. So we settled on a time of 2 p.m., I believe it was, right? So what did that do? Number one, you got someone who's upset. And this has happened multiple times before with other people where I was able to come in and get the job done, get the negotiations done, not just because I'm good at speaking with people, but also, what's going on, Sean? But also because this tactic of delaying it. If you're in an argument, right, okay? If you're in an argument, let's say with your significant other, your sister, your brother, your mother, your spouse, right? You're in an argument and things are hot. That's the worst time to try to, hash things out, okay? What's going on? How you doing? Naira. I hope I said that right. So that's the worst time to try to hash things out. So what he did was spot on. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He went ahead and said, you know what? I think we can work this thing out. I think we can come to some type of resolve. Let's talk with Tommy and we'll get on the phone. If it was me and we were going at it real bad, I'd say, you know what? I think we can work this thing out. Let me talk to my partner Tyrell and let's work this thing out. Right? And what it does is it gives us some buffer time. It gives us some time for cooler heads to prevail. Everybody's temperature kind of comes back down. And then at that point, we're able to get on the phone and then go ahead and I was able to speak with her. And so I want you guys to pay attention to this because this is very important, okay? Anytime, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if they're upset about the contract, they're upset about what you said or how things went. What you need to do is because a lot of times when people are upset, they're just mad, right? And then they're mad at a whole bunch of things that make sense in their head, but they can't even really get it out so they can understand why they're mad, and they can't put it in a logical order so we can address it. So this is what we're doing, what we did. I said, you know what? I really want to get this deal done with you, ma'am. Her name was Sarah. I said, I really want to get this deal done with you, Sarah. But I understand that you had some questions and some concerns about our contract. Like I said, you can do this about whatever, but this one was about the contract. I had some questions about a contract. I said, so let's address your questions and your concerns one at a time. Now, that's what I said to her, but because she was ready to go, she was still a little hot, right? She was just boom, 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 right? All in a row, rapid fire, all the issues she had. The options, the earnest money deposit, 45-day close was okay, but she still had questions about it, right? And at the end of the thing, what she said was, all I want is my $150,000 cash within the time frame. Okay, so that's how it happened. I'm upset at this, I'm upset at this, I'm upset at this, and all I want is make sure I get my $150,000 cash. So instead of dropping right to the back of it, what I wanted to do, I said, let's back up and let's make sure that we handle every single problem that you have or every single concern that you have one at a time. And so you want to do that because if you can handle one at a time, we can start to slowly check them off the box, right? Until there is no problems. So first thing she said that she was upset about was the option. The word option on the heading of my contract says option to purchase real estate agreement. Okay. So she says, well, this is an option. I just want to make sure that it's sold in blah, blah, blah days. So I said, okay, so I understand this option. We can take that out, but I want to be honest with you, right? We have 15 days for due diligence. So technically, even if I gave you $1 million for earnest money, it does you no good, because if I can't get the deal done, if we bring our contractors in there and we found out that the foundation is tore up or there's termites or whatever, I can get out of that contract anyway. I just want to be honest with you, okay? And she said, I didn't think about that. She said, okay, cool. I said, all right, so we good with the option? Do you want me to take it out? Because I can take it out. It doesn't matter to me. It's just the word option right there, but it doesn't do anything different for our contract. She said, no, that's okay. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Boom. What did I do? We checked that one off the box. So now she's okay with the word option. Before she was pissed off at it. She was mad, right, about option. Now she's okay with it. Okay, cool. So at this point, we're going to move on down to the next thing, because I truly want to help her. She has a problem with this property, not something that's really bad. She just wants to get rid of it. They're tired of dealing with it. Dad is elderly and God bless his heart, man, is 101 years old. But was still driving all the way up to 99, but at the end of the day, they want to get rid of the property, right? And we want to take over the property. We want to get it. So we just need to address the problems. So boom, we got that one done. The next thing was earnest money. She said, I was talking to my brother, who her brother was a lawyer. Okay. He said, yeah, he said, just like, everything looks okay, but this, you probably should put up a little more in earnest money. Okay. Now, typically we only put up $100 for earnest money because, we're might be making, going through the process with multiple properties. Some properties, they're not going to be able to close, right? Some properties we do our inspection period on, and we find out, like I said, half the foundation is rotting out, right? It's going to cost us a lot more money. So we're not in a position where we're going to be making offers on 10 different homes and putting $5,000 earnest money down per every home. Okay. That's not what it is. So we have a standard agreement. It's $100. But here's the thing. Just by talking to her and explaining to her the process of why we put money down. Hey, we just need the contract signed so our closing attorney will start processing. They're not even going to look at it unless we have an assignment contract signed or this contract signed. And the $100 is literally just a formality to make the contract valid. A lot of people don't understand that just signing a contract does not make it valid. There has to be some consideration involved, meaning typically that's money involved. Sometimes it could be other things. It could be a substitute for another, a valuable object or whatever. Okay. But typically in real estate, it's money. Okay. So in order for for him to start working on it, he just needs a valid contract, which constitutes a signature by someone who, that is of age. We have a meeting of the minds, meaning that they understand exactly what's in the contract. We're not getting someone who's inebriated or high or maybe has Alzheimer's to sign a contract, right? We have to have your signature, okay? And we also need to have some consideration involved, okay? We have some money down there. And we just need to check that box off just so he can get started, okay? And so once I explained it to her, she was like, okay, so I just got to sign the contract. Yep, that's all you got to do. She didn't go back into asking all the, but we didn't go back and forth about, cost on the earnest money deposit, right? Once she understood what it was there for, okay, once she understood what it was there for, then she was okay with it, okay? The last thing was the 45-day clause that we had in there. And Terrell did a fantastic job talking about it because he said, listen, right now it's it's COVID, a lot of times stuff is backed up. Lawyers are getting sick, or attorneys are getting sick. Here in Georgia, we're an attorney state. So they're getting sick. Sometimes they can come in, sometimes they can't, sometimes it's 14 days out. That can really delay and backlog their business, and it can really push a lot of things back, especially also just getting records from the county. It can be difficult because a lot of those people are getting sick and can't come in. So that's why we're asking for 45 days. And so after attacking each one of those one by one, right? At the end of it, we had checked off all the things that she was upset with, and she was okay with it at the end of the day. Okay. So I just wanted to, I wanted to talk about that because it's very, very important. A lot of people, especially new, you're not used to speaking to people about your business, right? About real estate, about wholesaling, or about being a real estate agent. Because I know some of you guys on here are real estate agents. And so if you can kind of hear and understand a couple of strategies, right? Just a couple of strategies. One of these strategies, or really tactics, excuse me. One of these tactics is hitting them one at a time. Okay, one at a time. Okay, you're upset. Okay, let's quantify. What are you upset about? And once we understand what that is, let's put that in a logical sequential order, and let me go ahead and handle it. And I was literally down here. I was writing down. Okay, she's upset about this. She's upset about the word option. She's upset about earnest money. She's upset about 45-day close. Okay, cool. Then we go in order, in the same order that they gave us. We say, let's tackle these things one thing at a time, because I know if I can get them to an okay, if I can get them to green light each one of those problems, boom, we can move on to a solution, right? So, okay, cool. Let me see cluster price. Let's go here. Cluster price says, I have a motivated seller in Indianapolis, which is a turnkey market. She wants 65 for property. Her dad left it to her, but her son stays in the property. The property's comp at 80K in the area, but also Also areas being redeveloped where houses are always built and sold down the street for 250. So cluster price. So it sounds like you're in an area that's being, obviously gentrified, right? And what you're going to want to do is, if you can get that, what you want to see is you want to see where that push is at, where that line is. Okay. I want you to think about it, and I want you to kind of like picture where that house is on the map. There's a house that got redeveloped, or an area you said is being redeveloped where houses are being built and sold down the street for 250. I want you to look at that. I want you to be able to picture that in your mind's eye, and I want you to draw a red line where those houses that are selling for 250, 200 to 250, where do they stop at? Okay. So I'm picturing this thing here, and I'm looking at the map. Here's my property that I want to sell, and here's where that line is, where the 250, 200 to 250 range is at. Okay. So if it hasn't crossed over to where your house is, you have to think about, is this something that you're willing to wait on? Because there's certain cities, and there's certain makeups and layouts of certain areas and zones and cities where that's a very hard line. It could be a major street, it could be a highway, it could be a river, it could be a train tracks, okay, where you literally could be on the wrong side of the tracks. Meaning that there's certain areas that I know of that area is not going to be redeveloped for a very long time. It's just one street over, or it's just 2 blocks over, and they're like, that is the line. Okay. Also, you need to think about, is this a developer that just bought a whole bunch of land, and in each one of those houses are 250? Because what they did is they probably went out and either they bought land that was just, virgin land that was nothing on it, or they did an assemblage where they strategically bought up houses over a period of time to assemble one mass piece of area, and then went ahead and bulldozed everything over and built houses on top of it. Okay. Because that's very important, because if that was their strategy and you're just got one house, you might have difficulty selling to that particular person. But if you're in an area where multiple people are, different investors are buying house here, and there's 3 houses later, there's another investor found another house, and maybe 7, a block over, 7 houses down the street, there's another house, and a different investor bought that one. That is a better chance of you getting that property for, I think you said 65. And instead of trying to sell it right there at 80 or somewhere around there, you can do subject twos or owner financing or something like that, maybe a lease option where you can make some money off of that. If you guys want me to, I can go into detail on that, on different strategies for that. But if you're talking about getting that larger fee where you wanted to get it to that person who's building our houses that are selling for 250, you're going to need to know what makeup is going on into that in the what's the makeup of the buyers in that area. Okay. The other thing you're going to need to know is, what is your cost of construction per square foot? So those houses that are selling for 250 down the street, then I'm assuming those are new builds, right? Maybe there was virgin land, or they bulldozed a house and they built it up. You said redeveloped, right? What was the house? What was the cost per square foot construction wise? Okay. I don't know where you're at, but here in Georgia, low budget homes. I'm talking about, really low budget, like Formica countertops, plain white appliances, your regular standard kitchen sink, basic stuff, right? Most likely, basic carpet throughout that house. Those are going to go for $90 a square foot, $92 a square foot, new build from ground up. Okay. You start getting close to about that 105, 110. That's about the mid range. Okay. For, a decent home. You get a little bit higher, 115, 120. You're getting nicer. You get a little bit higher than that. 130. You're talking about really, really nice, fine finishes. And you can obviously, trick it out and be way more expensive than that. Okay. But you need to know that. And you need to know what that house, that $250,000 home, you need to know what finishes did that house entail, and what was that price point? Because if they're doing that because that's where the neighborhood is trending to. Okay. If you're smart, you guys can really, really pay attention to what's happening in the neighborhood. And instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, you can just follow suit, right? If things are trending to be a little bit on the higher end, then guess what? You can find a really messed up house that's going to need a complete tear down, if the price point of those higher end homes support it, if the spread is big enough. So for example, you got it at 65,000. And let's just say, it's an area where it's $100 a square foot, just for simple math, right? And you got to figure out, okay, those $250,000 homes, what size are they? What's the average size of those? If they're smaller homes, if they're 1,000 square foot homes, right? And they're $100 a square foot, $100,000 a square foot times $100 a square foot times 1,000 square feet, you're at $100,000, right? So at that point, you understand, okay, I'm just going to take me $100,000 to build this thing. It's going to take me $65,000 for them to buy it. That's $165,000, and they can sell it for $250. That's a win situation. Conversely, if you need to spend, $120, because that's what the houses are going for, and all the houses are 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, that's not going to work, right? You see what I'm saying, right? So these are a lot of the things that you need to understand for that specific market. Hopefully, you were writing some of that down, so you got that. Cool. Let me see. Allow that cool off period. Yes. Let me see. What's up? Texas was dope. Texas was dope, man. Edward. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, there we go. Stacy says, can we go over subject to my partner and I want to get into doing this strategy in Boston, Mass. Listen, where's it at? So number one, Uncle Charles, my man, from HBHS. Let me see here. Get that there. There we go. They did a phenomenal mastermind. It was a mastermind. There's about 36 people in there. You had to be doing a certain level of business to be invited. So you're just there with just nothing but, like people who are really doing good, big numbers in wholesaling and real estate, multifamily, fix and flip. And there's 36 of us in a room. We were locked in a room together for 2 days. It started at 9 a.m. There was no break except for the lunch. If you had to go to the bathroom, you just got up, went to the bathroom, came back. And so there were speakers that were speaking from 9 a.m. with a 1 hour lunch from 12 to 1. And then we ended at 7 p.m. So it was just, man, so much knowledge here in this book here. And one of the things that they really, HBHS, but they're out of San Antonio, a guy named Mike and Charles, all right, like just genuine, like really, really down to earth people. I would highly suggest that you guys follow them on Instagram. It's HBHS, I believe is HBHS. I'll get their handle. But really, really cool people, down to earth. When I talk about genuine from the heart, like they really want people to win. Phenomenal individuals. But their whole strategy, well, not their whole strategy. One of their main strategies is subject to. Okay, is subject to. And so what Stacy's talking about, can you go over subject to? My partner and I want to get into doing a strategy in Boston. What we have to understand is that right now there's a moratorium on foreclosures, on mortgage, on people who are behind on their mortgages. Right? They're not processing them right now, right, because of COVID. That is going to lift here at some point. I don't know when. They say certain days, and then it gets pushed back, right? But what's going to happen is eventually it's over 1.4 million of them or something like that are out there, that are waiting, that are in this holding period, and then one day it's going to all hit. And a lot of those people, they don't realize. Hear what I'm saying, guys? It's not that you don't have to make your mortgage payment. Okay, that's not what this means. What they're saying is that you're not going to get evicted, or they're not going to go through that process of taking your house and going through pre-foreclosure, finally to foreclosure, and then them kicking out your home. If you had $1,000 a month mortgage payment that you were supposed to be making, and God forbid something happened to you and you lost your job, okay, company went out of business, and it went out, you haven't been able to make a payment in the last 12 months. It doesn't mean that $12,000 is now just forgiven. No, that is tacked on. You have to catch up with that. And there's going to be a lot of people that cannot do that. They're going to have a problem with that and getting that done. And so a lot of them are going to prefer, they're going to prefer to not go through foreclosure and say, you know what, I'd rather just give this to someone, let them fix their house. I'm sorry, let them do what they got to do and catch up on the mortgage payments, because I know I can't, and it's going to affect my credit. I think I've told before, I went through foreclosure before, right? My very first home that I bought in Miami was actually in Homestead. We went through foreclosure and I lost it. It was a condo, okay? And so I'm saying to this, not just from an investor, but from someone who had been through that process. I would have begged for someone to come to me and take over my property so it didn't affect my credit, so it didn't hit so I didn't have a foreclosure on my property. So you are helping people if you're helping the right person, and they need this type of help. So let's go through that real quick. See, make sure. I don't know if you guys can you guys see that, or is that too is that too? See if that's a little better. All right. I don't know who keeps taking my. I'll grab this towel. All right. Okay, cool. So, subject to, right? How high can we go? All right. Subject to. So it's subject to pre-existing financing. All right. So subject to the financing that's currently already in place. Okay. Meaning that there's a mortgage in place. Okay. So here you have your house. Okay. And your house has a lien, also known as a mortgage. Okay. It also has a deed. Okay. And this conveys ownership. And in other places, they'll have a note. Basically, the note says the lien is attached to this particular property, to this deed. Okay. So, main thing I want you guys to understand, and that depends on what state you're in. The main thing I want you to understand are these two things. Okay. So the lien is attached to the house. Okay. I want you to picture handcuffs here. Okay. I don't know. That's a handcuff, if you guys didn't know. All right. So this is attached to the mortgage. Okay. Okay. That is our owner. They're living in this house. This deed is attached to the owner. They're handcuffed together. Okay. So I want you to understand that lien or mortgage is to the house. Deed is with the owner. Okay. What does the deed convey? The deed conveys ownership, not the mortgage. Okay. The deed conveys ownership, not the mortgage. The mortgage is simply an obligation that says, hey, if owner does not pay, this lien or this mortgage is attached to this house, to this property. Okay. And if they do not fulfill this obligation of the mortgage because the lien is on the house, we can take the house. Okay. Now, the deed, because it conveys ownership, the deed is the thing that allows you to take over the actual property. So what'll happen is this. Is that on a subject to, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the deed subject to the pre-existing mortgage. The reason why we want to have that happen sometimes is because, especially, let's say this person's been paying on it for, let's say, 8 years. Okay. If you guys know this, all the interest, right? All the interest is stacked on the top end of the loan. Okay. So if you get like, let's say your mortgage is $1,000, right? Let's say your mortgage is $1,000. What happened is that you might pay $1,000, and inside this $1,000, you're paying principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, most likely. Okay, if you have a mortgage company, especially if you got one of those things where you only put a small amount down. Okay, so in the beginning, the vast majority of this, besides whatever goes to taxes and insurance, the vast majority of this payment does not go to bring down the balance. So let's say you bought the house and it was $250,000. Oops, comma, $250,000, right? And you're like, man, I paid the mortgage this month. You're thinking I paid $1,000, that the mortgage should go down by $1,000, which means you own $249,000. That is not the case. What happens is that this $1,000, you might only out of your balance. Once you pay that money, you might be only at $249,000. $910. It might have went down $90, the principal. Okay, you paid $1,000, but the vast majority, all the interest was on the front end of the loan. Okay, so if you find something like this, one of the reasons why people want to do this, want to do subject to, is because as you mature, as the loan matures, as you pay over and over again, more of this $1,000 in this particular case goes to the principal. Okay, if you reset that, if you refinance that, a lot of times, if you reset that, what happens is it starts that clock all over again. And now you're paying every month, every payment that you're making is going more towards interest than it is the principal. It's taking longer to pay it off. That's why that trick where you say you make one extra mortgage payment a year and cut the 30-year mortgage down to like 16 to 17 years. That's why. Okay. So this is a good reason for it. Okay. If it's not this, not to say that you can't do the deal, you still can make things happen, right? And that's just one benefit of it. One of the things is that you can literally get into the property with no money, depending on the situation of the owner. Okay, so there was a house down in LaGrange. The guy unfortunately he's dying of cancer. He has a terminal illness. He had it's not in a very it's not in an area. It's not in a bad neighborhood, but it's a rural neighborhood. Okay, it's not an area where you got a ton of people that are coming to. He said, he gave us a number. We tried to meet him at that number, but unfortunately, the bank, he owed a lot more than he thought. So he said, "Listen, man, if you guys give me $4,000, I'll walk away. I'll get my stuff and walk away." He literally probably has 2020, all of 2021. I'm sorry, to live. Okay, it's a sad story, but this is true. And the most important thing to him is to have about $4,000 because he can't take care of the house. He doesn't even live in the house. That's how bad his health is, because his house is up on a hill and the driveway isn't fixed. He can only make it up about halfway up the hill. He stays in a trailer at the bottom of the house, sits on 2 acres. I'm giving you these examples so that when you find them in real life, you can recognize them. Okay, so he only wants $4,000. We're going to do a subject to with him. Okay, that property, we'll do a subject to. We'll pay $4,000 out of our pocket, right, to him, to the owner. All right, I'll put seller, to the seller. All right, mortgage on that property, I think it was like $700 or something like that. It was like, I think let's call it $800 per month. Okay. He's behind. Here's the thing. He's behind something like $17,000. Okay. $17,000 behind on his payments. That's what it's going to take. Okay. I want you guys follow along because I want you guys to put your answer in. What do you think we should do with this? I'm gonna give you the answer at the end. but I want you guys to do some critical thinking here to figure out what you would do with this property. Okay, $4K to the seller, $800 a month in the mortgage. The rentals in that neighborhood, we probably wouldn't rent it out. But the rentals in that neighborhood for that particular property, we could probably get $1,100 a month for rent. Okay, and ARV. Oh no, I take that back. The what the bank needs, including the 17,000, what the bank needs to be paid off is about $97,000. All right, I'll put pay off. Hopefully you guys can see that. Okay, so $4,000 to the sellers. That's what he needs. We're at $800 a month in mortgage. We're probably going to do about another $2K in closing costs. Okay, and it's probably going to run us about another $5K and just clean out and just paint. It's you know, the house that no one was really living in. Just need to clean it out except for the last tenant. So $5K in reno. Okay, really light renovation. Okay, 100% very livable property. Okay, now big question is, what is it worth? What's the ARV? Okay, I don't know if you guys can see it here. Put it here. ARV. $150,000. Okay, so $150,000 for that property. I want you guys to go ahead and try to figure out, what would you do with this property? How would you maneuver this deal? Okay, we got about total of coming out of our pocket about $11,000 between closing costs, price to the seller, and then reno. Okay, it's mortgage is about $800 a month. $17,000 though behind on the mortgage. Okay, $17,000 behind on the mortgage. We could rent it out for about $1,100. But man, it's going to take us a long time to get caught up on that mortgage. What would you guys do? What would you guys do? Go ahead and put that. Let me just see where we're at. Let me just see what answers we have. Also have another guy who gave me a price of 70, same zip code, wants to sell them over to Florida, redevelop area. Yeah, man. If you can get that, go ahead. Who's in here actually working? Who's in here trying to figure this out? Because I want to give you the time to figure it out. I don't want to just blurt it out. I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds. Try to put your answers in here as quickly as possible, because it takes a couple of seconds for us to see it, for me to see it. Give about another minute or so. So once again, subject to, guy wants $4K to walk away and take over the mortgage. Stacy says, I am. Okay, perfect. Wants $4K to walk away. Okay, it's going to cost us about $2,000 in closing costs. Okay, $800 a month is the mortgage payment on it. It's it's $17,000 behind on the mortgage. $17,000 behind on the mortgage. All right. Rent in that area is about $1,100. Okay. $97,000 payoff. That's including that $17,000. All right. And it's going to cost about $5K in reno. Okay. I'm going to clean it out. I'm going to put some gravel down for a driveway. And that's about it. ARV after repair value, once we do that, it's about $150K. All right, I'm gonna kind of push forward here, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you what we're doing. I just want to see what you guys, don't be scared. Flip unless you have cash to catch up payments. Okay, I could do that, but I really don't want to put out $17,000 if I don't need to, right? We want to do a FSBO, but not sure how to get about doing that. Remember, we're going to own it, so we can do whatever we want with it once we have it. So let me just show you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, we'll do the subject to, we're going to give him his $4,000. We pay for the closing costs. And then we're going to go ahead immediately, the day of closing, literally, because we're fighting a clock right now. Right now, there's a moratorium on mortgages. But I know eventually they're going to ask about this. whether it's the following month, whether it's next year. I don't know, but I do know that this 5K rental week will have everything lined up, and that'll be done in a week. Okay, so and literally, I mean, it's one of those houses. Just kind of picture, it's one of those houses that's like almost like a log cabin almost. It's when you walk in, there's no sheetrock on the walls. It's all that exposed wood. So that's some people's style. It's more of a cabinish type of a feel, but a very, very sturdy house. We don't need to paint anything. The flooring we need to pull up. I think one room has carpet. The vast majority of it is going to be spent on the clean out, which we'll probably spend about $1,100 of that on clean out, and some carpet in that one or two rooms. And then the vast majority of it is going to be spent on the gravel driveway that we're going to put up there. All right. So 5K, we're out of our pockets about $11,000. Okay. Now, if I was to do this, what we're going to do is once we get this thing deeded over, remember, right? Deed conveys ownership. Once we have the property, what can I do? Can I just put it on the market? Can I just say, hey, I'm the owner, I'm the deeded owner, and put it on MLS? Absolutely. Okay. I put it on MLS to get more exposure. The property shows well. It sits on top of a nice hill overlooking the valley. Nice, beautiful view from the front porch. Right. Put it on the market for $150. All right. So let's do this. Let's do this math real quick. So 150,000. Okay. And what we're going to do, I always prepare to negotiate on closing costs when I sell. Unless I'm selling at a really, really deep discount, then I'm not paying any closing costs. Okay. But when I sell this, I'm prepared to pay at least half. Typically, closing costs are about 3% of the total cost. So if I'm going to pay half, that means I'm paying 1.5%. Okay. Also, real estate agent, most likely they're going to charge 6% on the 3% for the selling agent, or which they would represent me, or our company, me and Terrell, and then 3% would be representing the buyer, right? So that's a total of 6% that comes out of the sales price. So 6% from dealing with the real estate agent, plus 1.5% for paying for negotiating and dealing with half of the closing costs would be 7.5%. So I'm just going to subtract 7.5 and hit the percent sign right here. Okay, that's going to take out $11,250. So minus $11,250. Okay, I hit ankle equal, and that gives us $138,750 after paying the real estate lawyer or the attorney, and after paying our real estate agents that help with the transaction, $138,750. Now, I also need to make sure that this mortgage gets paid off. Well, they're going to do that for us. So we go ahead and subtract $97,000. That leaves us with $41,000, and that means the mortgage is now paid off, right? So minus 97K. That leaves us with $41,750. Okay, but we were out of pocket this 2K plus this 4K, and then the 5K in renovation, right? Which total 5 plus 4 plus 2 was $11,000. So we just need to subtract $11,000, put that back into the company fund. And now we're walking away with $30,750. Okay. So on a deal that a lot of people, some people might have tried to wholesale and only made $10,000 off of, or $5,000. Because we're subject to it, because we're taking ownership of it, because we're going to go ahead and put it on, do a light rehab of 5K and put it back on the market, instead of getting the $5,000 or $10,000 wholesale fee, we'll go ahead and get $30,750 for dealing with the exact same problem, exact same person. He gets exactly what he wants, right? And we're able to help him out, so he can move on and do what he wants to do with his time left on Earth. Again, unfortunately, the guy had cancer, so this is actually his number. He asked for. At first, he asked for $10,000, but that's when he thought the mortgage was only seven. I think he thought it was like $72,000 or $73,000, something like that. And he realized that it was $97,000, And he said, okay, well, you give me 4, I'll walk away. So we're gonna, that's one way of doing it. It's no, not basically a flip, because on a flip, I would have to actually purchase this property. Okay, so I would have to buy out. I would have to purchase it for 97,000 plus his 4,000. Right, it's a lot less money I come in out of my pocket. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm just getting him his money so I can get ownership of the property, so that I can go ahead and put it on the MLS. Whether I'll do this or not, I could still. I mean, this is going to probably add 15K on it by spending 5 on it, because it's just going to show better. But no, it's not basically a flip. A flip means that I would have to come out my pocket 97K plus the 4,000, right, plus the 2K. So I'm making a lot more with a lot less, if that makes sense. All right. Cool. Where did I get the $11,000 from the end? The $11,000 is what's coming out of my pocket. So he's not paying for the renovation, right? I am. He's not paying himself. I am. He's not paying for the closing costs. I am, right? So 2 plus 4, that's 6 plus 5, that's $11,000. Now, one thing I did not count is that we're going to make the monthly payments on that. So it probably would be less by, I would say 4 months to 5 months of that. So maybe subtract, 36,000 to 48,000, something like around that point. All right. All right, cool. All right, man. We're approaching the 8 o'clock hour. So if you do have questions, go ahead and throw them in here. Because at 8 o'clock, I'm done. I'm gonna need to go in there because Chris, my beautiful fiance, is waiting on me to finish watching the movie. So you can't make mama mad. Cool. So go ahead and put your question here. If I can answer it within the next 6 minutes. Hopefully, Stacy, let me know if I answered your question. I don't know if I went too far one way, but hopefully I did answer your question and you got some value out of that. Can you copy this? Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. If I'm out of your way there. And then you don't have to copy it because this is going to be on YouTube, so you can always go back and see it. All right. Any other questions? Anybody other questions? Matter of fact, I would like for some of you guys to put down a topic. If you can do me a favor, put down a topic for next Wednesday, so we can talk about something that you want to talk. Maybe you want to talk about owner financing and wraps. Maybe you want to talk about lease options. That was a big topic. We had a guy there that's his thing. That's what he does, is lease options. He was breaking down lease options and how to do them, different ways to do them, right? Maybe you want to know about lead generation, right? How do you get leads? How do we find this deal? How do we find the one I talked about with Sarah? It was all through that software. Seller financing, okay? Seller financing is something we'll do that on Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we'll talk about that sandwich lease option and corporate lease options. Cool. Sandwich lease options and corporate lease options. We can talk about that as well. All right. So I want you guys to make sure that you put it on your calendar for next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Next Wednesday at 7 p.m. So you guys will be here for that. We'll talk about both of those, seller financing and sandwich lease options. And we'll be able to go in depth. That way you can go back and forth and ask real questions. What do you think about targeting tax delinquent 2 months before tax sales and the equity that comes with it? Yeah, I mean, if you can, I don't know how your county, your state, what they're doing, but everybody's kind of like on a freeze right now with some of that stuff. So it's something that you can definitely do to get to get the ball rolling, and you're probably able to catch a couple people that are that are saying, you know what, yeah, we are going to lose this thing as soon as it opens. As soon as they start sending properties back to the courthouse steps, yeah, we are going to lose it. So, the main thing is this, guys. I keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it so everybody understands it. This wholesaling thing is not difficult. It's not hard. It is a simple equation, right? It is, you need to generate leads and you need to make offers, right? So as long as you can take a prospect, someone who's out there who doesn't know you, turn them into a lead, and then make them an offer. If you do that enough times, you're going to get, it's almost like you cannot not get a deal. That makes sense. So you need to make sure that you are, you need to make sure that you're doing those things, because if you don't, you're never going to get deals, and you can't just make one. You have to do a lot of them. You have to do a couple of them. All right. And let me see this. Live. I'm going to put in here. I highly suggest that you guys get into our group called Connectly. And I'm about to put it here in the chat here and on the screen here. And I'm not just saying that because I'm not just saying it because it's mine. I know the value that is coming down the pike. I spent a good majority of the day, going out there and creating content, because I'm literally taking and creating a course, not just on wholesaling. There'll be some things about wholesaling, but mostly about generating leads. Okay, about generating leads. So it's a software where you're not just dealing with cold calling. We don't want a cold call, right? A lot of people hate cold calling. I hate cold calling myself. What we want to do is we want to speak to warm leads. We want warm calling. We want people who have raised their hand and said, yeah, I'm interested in selling my house, or yeah, I'm interested in getting a cash offer, or yeah, I'm interested in listing my house if you're a real estate agent. Those are the people that we want to speak with. And so Connectly does that. It's a software that gets people to come in here, and then after they come into the funnel, it sets off an automatic process, or an automation process, where they are just out there, where we're nurturing that lead. Messages are going out to them over and over and over again. And then when they respond, it takes them and puts them into a response sequence on your behalf. And at that point, you can choose to get involved, and you can pick up the phone and call them because they're answering certain questions. We're getting ready to roll out, for you guys that are already on here. Like, I know Stacy's a part of it. Agatha's a part of it. We're getting ready to roll out our AI feature, literally on your funnel or on your website. You ever see on the bottom of the corner, right, of your screen, there'll be a little chat bot, and you click on that, and it basically handles a lot of the basic stuff. But I want you to think about this. If someone clicks on that, that is someone who's live and is really looking for some information from you. You'll get a notification that someone is on your platform, on your website, or on your funnel in real time. And in the meantime, if you can't get to them, the AI, the artificial intelligence, will answer questions based off of what they write. It literally, the computer reads what it wrote, what the person wrote, it understands it, and then what happens is that it will go ahead and put, answer on your behalf. Okay. And then it'll get to a point where, hey, it answered enough questions, it satisfied them, or you can go ahead and take over and say, hey, you can hop in there and you can manually text them and say, hey, I'm going to call you from a 305 number. And you can go ahead and pick up and just call them right then and there. Right. So yeah, it's a phenomenal product, man. I'm really proud about it. It's coming along. It's been a while. It's a lot of work, but yeah, we're plugging along with it, and you guys are going to be really, really excited about it. So the cool thing is, a lot of people are wondering, with it, it's not expensive, right? I've made it so right now it's only $47. It will go up eventually, but it's $47 a month. There's no contract. You cancel it whenever you want. You can do text messaging out of there. You can do email campaigns out of there. You can do all those things, right? You get your own number. You can have your own business line. It records your calls if you wanted to. You can build unlimited funnels, unlimited websites. It does a lot. It does a lot. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff packed into one, and I just hope you guys utilize it. So hit up connectly.com. Go there and check it out. And man, join our group. Right now, we're heavy. I'm building a robust little course out that's going to be a part of it that is teaching you how to run ads, how to reach out to people, things to say, things that I don't want you to say, so that you can get better conversions. All right. So that is it. And I had fun with you guys today, man. Glad you guys popped on. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel here, whether that's on Facebook or whether that's on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe so you get notifications. Hit that little bell icon so you get notifications every time we go live. So that way you don't miss some of these things. You might have a question next week or the week after, and we want to be able to answer those questions for you, right? We want to make sure that you get your deals closed. 2021 is your year. We are entrepreneurs. We're moving out of this sector and working for other people unless you just really want to. But we're going to give you all the tools that you need for free. All right. Y'all have a blessed one. Take care. Love you. Peace.